All right, so without much ado, Kezia, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see familiar faces and unfamiliar faces at the same time. And I'm sure that as we go ahead today, these unfamiliar faces will become familiar faces, and we'll also get to build relationships even as we network amongst ourselves as women. So very quickly, just so that we can warm up the space, because I think it's a little bit tensed. But then we're just going to have a mini icebreaker, and it promises to be very interesting, a little bit intense, but then I hope we can learn one or two things from this session. So I'm going to be sharing my screen quickly because we're going to be going to Kahoot right now, because it's March and it's also International Women's Month. I kind of made up a collection of questions on different things that involves women. So we're going to see who knows best about women's history and things as it pertains to women. So I'll share my screen quickly, and if you know how Kahoot works, I'll basically start, and we just need to go to the link, and then it will show up on the screen, the link, and then just put in the code. But I'll be here, so if anybody's finding it difficult to access it, we'll be sure to help. Oops, is it showing my answers already? No. Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna start now. Please let me know if you can see my screen or if you're having difficulties.
What's the game code?
I'm coming. It's gonna pop up now. Yeah. So all we need to do firstly is go to www.kahoot.it, and then it's gonna, okay, maybe I'm just gonna put the link in the chat. So you just click on it and put in the code. Okay, so I can see Fatih, I can see D. The pin is 618-6251. 618-6251. Okay, I can see Fonks, I can see TY. So we have 4 people on board right now. I can see Niti. Anybody having difficulties trying to join? We're 5 now. So let's see if we can have 1 or 2 more people and we're good. Okay, anybody else joining? I'm just gonna wait for a few seconds and then we'll have people join. The link to join is in the chat, so you just need to click on the link and put in the game pin and we'll be set to go. Okay, so we have a boy here, so we have 7, and I think we're just gonna start now. Awesome. Sorry, this should have been LadiesArise, but you all get the point. Okay, so we have the first question, and I think it's going to be about 30 seconds. Go, ladies. No Google, please. Okay. Okay. Actually, it was Turkey. I mean, we could do the history later, but we just no time. So let's move to the next question. So let's see who's on board. D is on board, and then TY phones fertility. So let's see, hopefully somebody overtakes another person. This is pretty easy.
For sure. Oh, Lord.
Okay, next, D. Oh no, oh, D is still winning. Okay. The next one now. It's not too late. We have 7 more questions to go.
Oh no.
Okay. I think we're making progress now. Okay. I don't know why nobody wants to take it over from D, but then let's see what's going to happen. D probably really read our current affairs before she came, and that's fine. Is anybody here working with the government of Saskatchewan? Okay, I see Funke is coming up the ladder pretty fast. I'm rooting for you, Funke. This one is a cheat because I remember we had a conversation on this. So anybody that doesn't get it. Okay, no, that's impressive. Okay. The next one is a bonus question because everybody should know this one. March 5th is my birthday, so I just had to put it there because I was out of options. So just for context. Brilliant. Yeah, I think we have a winner now. We're just gonna, one part of me is probably gonna say we should stop the game because D is on fire, but okay. We have 2 more questions to go and hopefully we get to redeem ourselves and somebody comes on board pretty soon. I would have been shocked if actually someone picked Aisha Buhari. I would have been so shocked.
They would have been speaking prophetically.
Okay, so we're on the 9th question now, and 1 more question to go. This is an out of the box question because it's something you're probably not expecting to be the answer. Yeah, Sri Lanka actually had the first prime minister in the world. Oh, okay. Funke, we see you. It's a sheer determination. The last shall be the first. Anything can happen. Perfect. Okay. So third prize goes to TY. Second prize goes to D. And the first prize goes to, drum rolls, please, Funke.
Wait, what? That's an interesting twist of events.
Yup. I'm actually as surprised as everyone probably is.
No, I think Auntie Dayo decided that, she doesn't want to embarrass us since we are the ones that have been reading books and forming learning.
But yes, so Funke, you can please get your prize from the convener of this program. Please hold her accountable. Whatever the gift is what the gift is, but make sure you collect a prize from her. Anyways, thank you all so much for participating in this little icebreaker. I hope that it has eased the tension off a little bit, and we're eager to go into the session for today. Energetic, excited, and eager to learn. Thank you so much. I'll be handing over the mic to the next person on the agenda.
All right, so we're going to be introducing our guests, and we're going to have two people read their bios. And I think we're going to have Fatima read Auntie Dayo's bio, and we're going to have Tyra read bio. So, yes, get in there. Fati, when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I'm glad to be introducing my very own person. Sister Dayo, you permit me to use your name today. Yeah, Adedayo is an experienced human resources professional with strong strategic skills and experience that cut across recruitment and selection, talent management, employee benefits, employment labor relations, coaching, mentoring, and human resources advisory. She currently works as a talent acquisition consultant with the government of Saskatchewan, providing deep expertise through consultation with frontline human resources business partner, as well as to ministry clients on corporate job specific acquisition needs. She holds a master's degree in managerial psychology and bachelor's degree in linguistics. She's passionate about giving back to the community, mentoring new immigrants in Canada, and providing support and actualizing their full potential. As a side hustle, Dayo is also the general manager, owner of Let's Clean Services, a janitorial cleaning services serving both commercial and residential clients within Regina and its environs. Adedayo is also the interim secretary of the Nigerian Canadian Association of Regina, NCAR, and team lead for job search strategies at the Nigerian Canadian Human Resources Community, NCHRC, a non-profit community organization. I'm pleased to introduce Adedayo Owolabi.
Okay, welcome. Yeah, I'm struggling to, I don't want to have to say her name without the prefixes that our culture recognizes. Okay.
Please without it, please.
No, I can't. It's not coming. All right, you're welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, let me do publicity. Let's Clean It has helped clean one of our rental properties before, and I can tell you they do a fantastic job. So yes, that's fresh review. All right, Tayo.
Hi, everyone. Can you all hear me? Just making sure. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right, I have the honor of welcoming our second guest today, who goes by Wura, and I'll just read her bio here quickly. Wura da Silva has an active practice in corporate and commercial law. Wura's practice focuses on mergers and acquisitions, corporate reorganizations, corporate finance, bankruptcy, and insolvency. Wura joined the Regina office of Miller Thompson in 2017 as an articling student and was called to the Saskatchewan Bar in 2018. By January 2023, Wura was named partner at the firm. Prior to joining the firm, she obtained a Master's of Law degree from the University of Manitoba in 2017. Wura obtained a law degree from the University of Ibadan, Nigeria in 2013 and was called to the Nigerian Bar in 2014. Following her call to the Nigerian Bar, Wura practiced as a corporate and commercial lawyer in a national law firm in Nigeria. She is currently a member of both the Law Society of Saskatchewan and the Canadian Bar Association. Wura currently serves as board member at the Regina and District Chamber of Commerce. Wura remains committed to helping women, especially women of color, continue to evolve into better versions of themselves. Kindly help me welcome Wura onto this platform today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all. So welcome to our guest. Welcome, Wura. Glad to have you join us here. Okay, so I will be turning it back to Kezia, who will be moderating the session. So just to let us know that if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box. If you have any comments too, feel free to put them in the chat box. So yeah, we're all learning together, we're all growing together, and we're just going to glean from their stories and their experiences and how they have navigated a career to be where they're at today. There is something for all of us to learn. So, Kezia.
Okay.
To you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today. I was listening to Sudaya talk about how, and Stanita talking about how they were being careful to add prefixes to her name. And I was very careful with Wura as well, because I do not call her Wura. So I'm going to be breaking some protocols this afternoon, and just so that we can be very formal and professional. So permit me as I do so. So today our theme for the day is navigating career advancement as a woman. And we already know as women here that there are so many complex challenges and stereotypes that we face as women in our careers. We going from lack of representation to gender bias, to fighting for pay equity, among other things, right? And these are just one of the challenges that we face as women. And navigating these challenges obviously requires us to have a combination of individual and systematic approaches. And one of the things we'll be talking about today is basically how, as women, we can take steps to build our visibility, take steps to build our skills, and take steps to build our networks, even within our different organizations and industry. So with me here today, we have Adedayo Olabi and we'll have Wura da Silva, and we'll basically be talking about how we can build the skills, network and be visible, but also learning from their diverse experiences, because as we can see, they both have like different career path mapped out for them. So at different points, we can learn from their story, pick what applies to us, and hopefully it will be applicable as we go ahead in this year. So it's my honor to be moderating this session, and I really hope everyone here gets to learn a thing or two, even as we thrive to advance and take territories even in our different organizations this year. So without further ado, I'll be moving on to starting the session in full. And one of my questions here, just to water the ground a bit and give us a soft landing from where these women are coming from, because they did not just happen to have these mind-blowing profiles. It was a process, it was a journey, and that's what navigating a career as women is. It's a step-by-step process. Your story, Sister Daya's story and Wura's story are definitely going to be very different when we listen to them speak today, but that's why we're going to be learning from their different perspectives. So I think I'm going to start with Daya this morning, and my question is, I'm not sure how long you've been in Regina for, but then it's something I would also like you to please share with us if you can. But then what are the challenges or barriers you faced in this journey so far? I know that it wasn't all rosy and perfect. We're listening to your profile now. It sounds very sweet to the ears, but I'm sure there were certain challenges and barriers you had before you got to where you are today. So if you don't mind, do you mind just briefly sharing us how your what challenges you faced or barriers you faced in your journey?
Thank you so much, Kezia. Thank you, Anita, for having me. And thank you, everyone. And good afternoon. It's been how many years now? So I came to Regina April 2009. And I've been in Regina since I've been in Canada. It was really tough, I must say. And it's been tough. And it's still tough, but we're pulling through. When I came, I think one barrier and one challenge I had was I landed and I was living with my uncle. And one thing he said to me was, Dio, just go and look for a care home work or start working in Burger King or McDonald's. You don't have an education in Canada. You cannot work in an office. And I was like, wow, okay. I was coming from Nigeria. I owned a consulting firm, a recruitment consulting firm where I was paying staff. I was recruiting for international organizations. That was a side hustle for me in Nigeria. And I was also working with Schneider Electric as an HR consultant at that time. And I felt, so you're coming to Canada to work in Burger King. Wow, that's a good one, Dio. What brought you to Canada? Maybe you need to go back to Nigeria. I thought about it a couple of times. And I told my uncle, I said, okay, yeah, I'm open to it. I'll work wherever. And then he told me, give me a one-pager resume. I sent it to him. And he said, take your master's away. You can't put your master's. And I'm like, how are we going to do this? He said, yes, that's what we're going to do. Just put your degree and I'll get you a job. I did all that. He took my resume to a couple of places. I got 2 jobs after a week. I got a job in Burger King and I got a job in a care home. And I started. But that wasn't me. It wasn't okay for me. And the funny thing people don't know is after 3 months, I packed my bags and I went back to Nigeria. Because I told myself, no, this is not what I wanted. I think for me, I came to Canada on a platter of gold. It was more of my uncle coming home to say, who wants to go to Canada? No one answered. And I said, let's give it a try. I'll go. So it wasn't as if I wanted to move at that time. I went back home and I kept telling myself, Daya, are you sure? Daya, are you sure? I got married. My husband was living in Germany. So I moved to Germany. That was another barrier because I had to learn the language. And I'm like, what is this? There's no barrier in the place I'm coming from. I went to Canada, there's a barrier. I'm in Germany, there's another barrier. And then I got pregnant and I told my husband, when they tell me push and I'm not hearing what they're saying, that would not be good. Let me go back to my Canada. And he said, okay, let's do it. And then I came back. Funny enough, my coming back, I got to the airport in Toronto and that officer said, wow, where have you been? And I'm like, I went back to my home country. And he looked at me and said, how many months gone are you? I said, I'm 7 months gone. And then he said, if you had come in this time next week, you would have lost your permanent residency. And I was like, whoa, okay, can I just go in? He said, yes, you can. So I came in. And that was how my journey started. And I told myself, Daya, you're going to have this child. You're not going to have 1 year mat leave because you don't even have a job. After 4 months, I dropped my baby at the daycare and I started hunting for jobs. I practically walked around downtown every blessed day. And what I told myself I was going to do was I was going to go into every office that I see in downtown and I will look for a job and I will tell them what I want. I remember going into Kelly Services, which is a consulting firm there. And I told the lady, I need a job. And she said, you have too many experience. And I don't think I can cope with that. I need someone that can start from the scratch. I said, I can start from anywhere. Even if it's an admin role, give it to me. And I went back home. She didn't give me anything. There was no job. After a month, I remember I was living here in the north, very close to Superstore. And I saw that TD Bank was just right around the corner. And I took that one-pager resume. I went into TD and I said, hi, can I speak with the manager? And the lady said, for what? I said, I need a job. And she said, oh, you need to apply online. I said, I'm sorry, I've applied online. No one responded back to me. I need to see your manager. And she said, wow, you're so adamant. You need to wait because the manager is in a meeting. I said, oh, I have all day. And then I sat down. I was there for a whole hour. And then finally the manager came and the manager spoke to me and I said, I need a job. I don't have a banking experience, but I know I have customer service skills. I've been in HR for years. I know I can do this. Just give me a job. I need a white collar job. I can't do Burger King anymore. I can't do whatever anymore. I need a white collar job. And he said, okay, I'll get back to you. And I remember telling him, I've always heard I'll get back to you. Can you please get back to me or I'll come back here? And he said, don't worry, I will get back to you. The good thing is I started work the following day. He called me back that night and he said he has a customer service job for me. And that was how my career started in Canada. Banking wasn't for me. Customer service wasn't my thing. I wanted an HR job. So I still didn't stop going to my downtown trips. So during my lunch at TD Bank, I'll go to downtown. Remember, I was taking the bus. I wasn't driving. I'll go and I have just 1 hour. So I will go to downtown. I'll go to Kelly Services. I'll go to Employment Network. There were lots of consulting firms in downtown then. I remember David Appling was there as well. I'll go to all of them. And there was this fateful day. David Appling called and said, I have an admin job for you. I said, okay, I'll do it. And then I left TD Bank. I went to the admin job. So, you know, I'm getting more experience with my white collar job that I wanted, but still wasn't what I wanted. And then I started that admin job. It was with Sun Life Financial. I was there for only 2 weeks and they said there was no more job after 2 weeks. So I went back again. My journey in downtown continued and I kept doing that. And finally, Kelly Services called and said, I have an HR assistant job for you. He's with First Nations University of Canada. And it's a 3-month term. I was like, that is exactly what I want. I'll do it. At the same time, I got an offer with Scotiabank. It was a permanent full-time job as a customer service rep. And I went home thinking, full-time job, customer service with a bank, HR administration job with First Nations University, 3 months term. Just as a side note, I'm a very huge risk taker. I take a lot of risk in my life. If you're not a risk taker, please don't be like me. So I said to myself, it's HR I want and I will do it. And then I didn't want to say no to Scotiabank. And I remember saying, family emergency, I can't resume now. Can my position be on hold? And the lady said yes. I was like, wow, this Canada, I can't say that in Nigeria. So why would they say yes to me? And the lady held on to the job for me. And I started with First Nations University as an HR administrator. I kept going and one other challenge came up. And that challenge is one thing I want to say to everyone on the call today, that if you know that you have a secret, keep it to yourself as a secret. It's not everything you need to share. Because of the way I was so close to my manager, I was telling her virtually everything about my life, both personal, family, every single thing about myself, because I thought she was my friend. I thought that was how it was supposed to be. I didn't mince words. I didn't stop at whatever. I told her everything. And voila, everything I said was used against me. It was all turned back against me. And it was more that, oh, Dio, you know, because this is happening to you, you can't do this. Dio, you know, because this is what your status is right now, we can't give you more challenges at work. And I felt my world was clashing at that time. I felt things were going to go haywire for me. It was more of, it is the career I wanted. I already started in HR. I'd already broken that barrier of me getting into the white collar job, but another barrier came and I had to work on it. I had to work on sharing only what is necessary. I had to work on not talking too much. I know I talk a lot. I had to work on being friends with everybody, but be careful where you share, as long as you know that is not necessary to be shared. And then I started my career that way. I went on to move to other organizations, and I would say it's been more of be focused. It's been more of having a plan for yourself. It's been more of knowing what you want as a woman, knowing what you want as a professional, knowing what you want as an individual in life, setting those goals for yourself and working towards achieving them. There are lots of barriers. I know my uncle said one time, now you are in that professional world that you want to be. But remember that you have kids. Remember that your husband is there. How will you be able to cope? And I kept saying to him, I've seen women cope, I will cope. I'm just like that to say, as long as someone has done it, I can do it. And even if nobody has done it, I believe in myself. I believe in what I can do. And one thing also is I put God first. I'm a kind of person that I don't pray the way everybody prays. I talk to God just like I'm talking right now. And I say, God, this is what I feel like doing. What do you think? And, you know, we have those kind of conversations. And I also tell myself, the sky is not the limit. You can reach that goal that you want in life. You can merge things together. It's been tough, I would say. I think it was in 2017, I decided, okay, now I have my HR career. I'm growing in my career. I want a side hustle just because my body can't rest. I want to always be busy. I want to always do something. And I remember my husband said, you know, you can actually start a cleaning business. And I looked at him and said, and I'm going to say this in my native language, Kima Fole, I should be cleaning. What's that? And then he said, seriously, you can do it. And I said, okay. That came up as another challenge on its own because I had to declare at work that I have a side business. I had to declare that whatever I'm doing will also not be a barrier to me performing at work. Mm. So it was more of my manager saying, Daya, are you sure? Mm-hmm. So how many staff do you have? Well, I don't have any staff. I'm the one doing it. Myself and my husband. We got a contract with a clinic for us to be cleaning. So you can imagine me finishing our work at 5, having my husband take care of the kids, and then me going to the clinic to clean at 6:30. Remember, I have to make supper. So I try to juggle between 5 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., make supper, make sure the kids are fine, make sure my husband is there to take care of them. And then I run to clean. Wow. After a while, I told myself, okay, there's something called delegation of duty. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I thought about it again. You need to delegate. So as much as we have that strength as women that God has given us, as much as we can do a lot of things, we should also think about it that there is a point to delegate duties to other people. There is a point to let go of things. There is a point to say, okay, this can also wait. So at that point, I got some staff to work for me, and it's been good. That's what I'll say, basically.
I think this is even a good place to stop here today and dwell on it for a bit so that we can ponder on those words that you said, because I don't know about anyone, but I was just nodding my head and shouting, this is Rema, this is Rema, this is Rema on different levels, right? From how you started to how you got to where you are today, and how you even went further from where you thought you were going to be to starting your own business in all of this time frame. I think it's remarkable, right? But I also think that's why it's important to hear people's stories, right? It's important to know how people started, just in case there's anybody here wondering, how do I navigate these things? How do I go from point A to point B, right? It doesn't always have to be perfect, right? My daddy always says that when you are in your journey, nobody is aware about that journey until you finally get to the final destination. Then there are so many people saying, oh, I know you, I know this person, I know that person. But then there was a process. There were times when she thought this was not worth it. There were times when she went back to Nigeria. Do you know the audacity and how frustrated somebody would be to pack their load in this time and age and be going back to Nigeria to do what, please, right? So I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, Auntie Dio. If that's the only thing we learned today, I think it's important to understand that life is a process. It's a journey and not just a destination. So thank you so very much. I think I'll be moving on to Wura now, and then sharing some of, if you can share some of your challenges or barrier you faced in the journey. I know some of your story, but I'm going to act like I've never heard it before in my life so that I can hear it afresh again. And it'll be important because just talking about what Auntie Daya said, you know how everybody's celebrating the Wura da Silva. She has become a partner at so age and done this. But then there were stories, there were challenges, there were barriers you faced before you got to this point. So if you don't mind, do you mind sharing just briefly with us how you got to this point? What was your journey? What was your story like? Thank you.
Thank you, Kezia. Can everybody hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much, Mrs. O, for sharing your story. That was absolutely amazing. I know you, but I have never heard that part before. And so thank you so much for sharing so deeply. Thank you, Anita, for putting this together. It's an incredible opportunity. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to do my introductory ceremony, so I have to do it before I go into the question, into answering the question. Thank you as well, Kezia. My journey is not clearly as earth-shattering as Mrs. O's. And when I say Mrs. O, I'm talking about Adedayo Olabi. I call her Auntie Dayo as well, but just, now. Anyway, so mine isn't anything close to that, but I have a unique path as well, and I have a very unique journey. I moved to Canada in 2015, a month after I got married. So I was 24 at the time, and it was just, it was a journey of faith, especially because I had always considered myself as someone that wouldn't get married until like 30, and I would have a PhD first, but then, I also know that God has different plans, and I kind of just follow whatever that looks like at every point in time. So I see you, Anita. Okay, so so it was something that felt like it was outside of my control at the time, because life was just happening and things were falling into place in very good ways. I mean, how can you be frustrated with the blessing of God? How can you be frustrated when things are happening? They're good things, but they're overwhelming at the same time. So moving here and starting a master's program in a new country, there's the education piece, there's the, okay, I'm a newly married person. What does this whole marriage thing mean? How do you navigate this and all of that? But I do know that one of the very first things that I got was just that incredible support from my spouse. And I also got very lucky and blessed. I did meet good people. The people that you meet when you get into a new country, you would be shocked. It can impact the trajectory of your career, your life, more than you can imagine. Now, Mrs. O had always been driven, and she also had life experiences way before she came. She wasn't like a 17-year-old that was moving. She wasn't, she had life experiences. She was a professional. She was in the HR world. So problem solving, handling conflict, understanding situations, she was already skilled at that. But then, so when she got here and she was told that, well, dust your resume, you can't put your master's, get ready for Burger King, which, by the way, people start that way and it's totally right. It's knowing self and knowing that this is not what I want out of my life, for her to actually do what she needed to do and then take all of those steps that she discussed a couple of minutes ago. For me, I was blessed to have met people that were talking about, how do you get requalified to practice? What are the exams you need to do? Here are the materials you need to study for, that you need to study to become requalified here. So that really set the momentum. And I think that momentum is very important when you actually get to a new country, because, or at any point, quite frankly, because it can help you really like get the ground moving. I remember my first trip. So my master's was at the University of Manitoba. And my first trip to Regina, my husband was already saying, let's go to the university and let's apply to the governing body for you to write your exams and to be requalified. I'm like, please chill. I am just here to calm down for Jesus. What's God like? We'll do this later. But I was like, no, let's go right now. And honestly, I felt ambushed, but that helped because it was really good for me to get the ground, to get the ball moving at the time. So the people you meet, the connections you form, and then asking yourself and knowing exactly what you want out of life as well. I was already practicing in a national law firm. I was liking it for a variety of reasons. I like the challenges. I like the opportunity to be part of like large transactions, small transactions, like the whole spectrum. I like to solve problems for businesses, but then I also like the money, you know? So it was important for me to actually go back to and do whatever I needed to do to get requalified here. In terms of challenges, I think at the time, one of the biggest challenges I had was not finding people that looked like me in my field doing what I was going to be doing. And I can imagine that Mrs. O had exactly the same experience when she had just moved, because I can imagine 2009 Regina, like 2015 Regina, there were fewer Black people compared to 2023. Like 2023 Regina, double, triple the numbers in 2015. Now you can imagine what it was way back. So I think this current, like, I think we're really privileged now, because there are other people, there are opportunities, there is like the connection. Oh, great. Anita just dropped that the research shows that we now have 4 times the diversity that we used to have a couple of years ago. So that's incredible. Like, that's just 400% increase. So now there's the opportunity to actually find the people that you know that are in the field or are doing what you want to do. So one of my biggest challenge at the time was in Regina in particular, which was where my husband was at the time, and I was thinking I was going to move here to join him. There weren't many people, there wasn't even anybody, to be very honest. I did know a few people here and there, but they also had been trying to get integrated into private practice here, and they were expressing how challenging it had been. So it's very critical now. You know, I had my challenges now. Thankfully, there are now people now that have walked the walk, and there are other people now that on that path as to what you want to do, and you can actually kind of connect with them. I'm going to share an interesting story about Kezia. So Kezia, who's the moderator and who's this brilliant, beautiful young girl that's helping us put this together, and very eloquent, very amazing woman. She reached out to me on LinkedIn, and it was a super random, okay, let's meet up for coffee, Starbucks, and then the rest, they say, is history. Now Kezia is like a sister to me. I absolutely love her. There was a time I had to take a trip to Niagara Falls, just like, I was really, really overwhelmed, and I just needed somebody to stay with my son. And Kezia was like, sure, why not? But she reached out on LinkedIn. Like, how do you form such a deep personal connection? Oh, somebody said that exactly. Kezia, how many people have you been reaching out to on LinkedIn?
Sorry, can I even just jump in and say that what was even more interesting was, and I can't think, because I talked about this that day, I had just read the book of Job, where they talked about the names of his daughter, one of whom was actually Kezia. And that same day, a random Kezia reaches out to me on LinkedIn. So I was like, no, I'm going to call up this person, whoever she is.
Okay, so we're going to have to do a session where Kezia tells us how to broker relationships, how to send out cold emails and get results, because clearly this woman is like getting results. But that's the thing, is there are challenges. It's hard to find people in your field and to find them to mentor you. But there are also like opportunities now that exist that can be taken advantage of. If you're thinking of getting into the HR field, you've heard of Mrs. O, but you don't know her. Well, reach out. I mean, what's the worst thing that could happen? No, but yeah, or no response. That happens a lot. Not a big deal. You end up meeting her a couple of months after at an event, and you realize that she's an absolutely phenomenal, interesting, life of the party person, right? And then you tell her that, oh, I emailed you a couple of months ago and you never responded. And she'll probably apologize and say, well, I've been buried in my emails or something. I mean, or maybe she's better than I am, and maybe she actually responds on the spot. But the point I'm making is that we have to just take advantage of connections. We have to take advantage of people. I do have friends that you know, I have people that I'm trying to build relationships, that I'm trying to make connections with, and actually try to invest in those relationships. There are also people that are trying to make relationships with me, and they're also like, I can see that they're pouring into that. That is very, very great. Thank you, Anita, for that. That is very, very critical. Anita is just saying that there's a draft message that you can use to reach out on code emails and whatnot. So again, my challenges or my journey hasn't been as earth-shattering as Mrs. O's, but I've just been trying to like say other things as I've been sharing as well. I think the biggest other thing was getting into a male-dominated, and not just male-dominated, white man, which, you know, to be very honest, that can be a challenge. You know, you are coming from your country where you are absolutely articulate, you're a rock star, and then you get here and somebody's constantly saying, say that again, repeat that, excuse me. And you're like, wait, what exactly is happening? Like, maybe you need to clean out the wax in your ears, right? And that can be frustrating. So there are different challenges when you get here in terms of like navigating the workplace. And I think we'll probably get there. And Mrs. O, as an HR person, may be able to speak to that a little bit more. But that was one of the things I also struggled with. I was the only person, I was the only Black woman in my workplace. I was in a very, very, still is, in a male-dominated industry, heavily white industry. And it just occurred to me that I had to do things differently. And if I tell you, not to toot my own here, Kezia knows me, but if I tell you that I literally work 3 times as hard, I am not even kidding you. Like, I literally work 3 times as hard, and I know it, and I do not mind, right? Because it's what I want for myself. And it's also something that I've realized here, that you cannot just do the basic and expect that that would get you to, that would yield the desired results, right? There are people that get advantages just because of their gender, because of their race, because of how they sound, because they were born in a small town in Saskatchewan, you know, and great, those are privileges. And many times they don't even know that they have that privilege. But there are other people like us, great, oh gosh, Anita is just like dropping nuggets and wisdom here. So please feel free to engage in the chat box as we're talking about these issues. So trying to navigate, you know, how do I work with this person? How do I understand them? How do I maintain my authenticity through this? And part of the challenges were mostly also personal, because it meant that I wasn't as present as I would have liked to be with my family. It meant that I wasn't making as many home-cooked meals. It meant that I was outsourcing as many things as I could outsource. I still continue to do that. It meant that sleep sometimes is, you know, is taking the backseat for a little while. Those are challenges. Those are things that affect us in our personal lives, but it depends on what you want for your life. It depends on what you want. It's totally okay to be in a world or in an industry that is not as fast-paced as mine, and live a more robust life. Like, there is no standard. The standard is what you create for yourself. And I think I created a standard that was quite crazy. You know, in my firm, even with the white contemporaries, I'm the youngest partner. And for an immigrant to have achieved that, so for the longest time, my boss thought I was like 42 years old, and I was extremely upset. And the reason was, so one day we were talking, and at the time, I think I was 31 or 30, I can't remember. And then he said, oh, Wura, and there's something about, yeah, like in your early 40s, you know how, I'm like, why? What are you talking about? Who is in early 40s with you? What's this one saying? That's still like 10 full years ahead. And I was like, well, for a woman, if you add 10 years to her age, well, that's not fair. Do I look that old? And he said, well, how could you have your accomplishment and be that young? Like, the numbers are not adding up. And that's why I was saying that working 3 times as hard also meant that things that, and with the grace of God, obviously, things that would originally take like 5 years will then take 2 years, because like you're doubling up the effort. But that has the personal impact. I'm not even going to tell you that I have my stuff put together as much as I'd like, but it's my own standard, you know, it's my own journey, it's my own race, it's what I want for myself. and I still have to then, determine what that means for me and my family and my friends and the people that I care about and that I love. So there's the personal sacrifice piece of that. Now, for other people, it's totally okay for them to take their time and enjoy the world and enjoy life in the process, and, have a lot of babies and, enjoy being a family person. That is absolutely fine. That is your standard. That is what you want for yourself. So, I have had challenges that I could continue to share, but I'm also recognizing that some of them are self-inflicted, some of them are by choice, but some of them are also as a result of the community, just the fact that for us to thrive in this part of the world, we have to recognize that there is more that we need to put in. And what more means would be based on where you are in life. If you have younger kids, or if you're still having a lot of kids, if you're still having more kids, more for you may have to. And I think we're going to maybe, I can imagine when it comes to things like this, there's always that conversation or question about balance. So I'm hoping that there's going to be an opportunity for you to ask what balance means, because when it comes to women doing it all, what does that mean? But you have to determine what your own personal standard is and just love it, own your journey, and your challenges will be very unique because of your standard, your journey, your path. My challenges are unique and, somewhat by choice as well. But yeah, grace is available, and then make those connections.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Wura. Like different takes, like it's really germs upon germs. Like I hope like someone is jotting things to think things away after this session, because it's been very insightful. I wasn't expecting to be ambushed, but it is what it is, I guess, when people on the same panel as yourself. But then these I remember one time when I was talking to Wura and I was like, how do you even do all of these things? How are you working? Like, I don't have a partner. I'm very single. I don't have babies, but I'm so exhausted every single day. Like, how are you all doing it and all of that? And I remember she was just talking to me about how like you need to like make time for all of these things. And then it's just important to understand that, like she said, what more means to me is very different from what more means to another person. Like we all have a different path. And then there's something that you always see people say on Twitter. If you're very active on Twitter, people always trying to compare their journey with another person's journey, especially women. So if you're a career woman, a woman who is a stay-at-home mom is probably upset with you. Why don't you have time to take care of your children? And you that you're a career person, so are very upset with people who just stay at home. But then that's not the point. The point as women is that we have different journeys, right? Your journey and my journey cannot be the same. Even if we're both career women, there are different journeys, there are different stories. And what one mistake we always commit or make that kills us is always comparing our journeys to another person's journey. And that is the first step to killing ourselves, even as human beings in the first place. So thank you so much, Mrs. O, and thank you so much, Wura. Both of you already touched on my next question, which is pretty much important, but I see that we're running short of time. So I just really like if people can start putting up the questions in the chat, and if our panelists could just answer some of those questions very briefly so people can also move on to other things in case they have things scheduled after. So my next question will basically be, I'm going to ask you, Wura, because you kind of touched it a bit. How have you balanced your career aspirations with cultural expectations around marriage and family? We're very cultural people. Just in this session already, we're already listening to how we have, as Nigerians, we have certain prefixes to certain people. I wasn't raised in quotes, Nigerian home. So some of the things I see are very strange to me. Like when you always have to kneel down and greet, maybe because I'm also Gen Z, but then some of these things too are mixed with my cultural background and all of that. So I'm actually very curious to learn, how do you balance these cultural aspirations, right? With raising your children and also balancing it with family or marriage. Like where does the balance come in between all of that?
Thanks, Kezia. I'm probably going to disrupt what we all have in mind here when it comes to balance. My personal view is that there is nothing like balance. And before I get crucified, I'm going to explain. We have different seasons in our lives. We have the season when we have a little child, and that child will take more of your time. And nursing the child, taking care of the child or the children will just naturally take more time. So the concept of balance is this: work, life, everything is all like at par. You can do 12 hours, you can do 5 hours for yourself, 8 hours of sleep, 7 hours at work. But balance is not a concept that truly deeply exists. It is a function of what should take priority based on where you are at in your journey or in your season. And so when you get fixated with the structure of balance, you can miss out on the importance of that season. So there is a time to know that my work is very, very important this year because there's a promotion, or that I want to make a switch at work, or I need to, I'm trying to transition. And in that season or in that moment, you're likely going to do a little bit more than you would otherwise do because you have that goal. So it's about also kind of knowing what's important to you per time. Now, in the grand scheme of everything here, mental health is important. Physical health is important. There are things that you shouldn't negotiate. Being a present parent to the extent that you can is important. But then it's just a function of, the culture expects you to be a wife and a mom in the traditional sense. But you're also a boss babe at work with people that are answerable to you. You're also like calling the shots at work. And you also have people that literally rely on you for their livelihood if you're a business owner, right? So juggling all of those balls would mean that you determine per time what's more important without beating yourself up. Right? Last year, for example, was for my career. I knew it. And that meant a discussion with my spouse as well to say, I need your support more than I have ever needed your support. That meant buying more meals to the point that I have a few, bless their soul, I have a few people that make meals for me. They have they have my house, like the code to my garage. They know where I put my key, and they'll just put the food in the house, And because it was, for me at that time, it wasn't about whether or not I could still make home cooked meals. It was, as long as my family is taken care of, and as long as they understand that this is a season of my life, we're going to get through this. And then coming out of that, I have had a new priority, which is, I want to be more present. I want to be a better friend. What can I do to change? What can I do to be a better friend? How can I make sure that I know the birthdays of my friend in advance, and I make sure that I'm getting them presents? I want to live a fuller life this year, and these are the areas that are important to me. That is my balance, right? Last year, my close friends, my friendship suffered quite a bit. But then the good friends I know also then recognize that she's busy, right? Communication is very important. So cultural expectations or no, I'm sorry, the moment we touched ground for that airport there, cultural expectation in that bush, in that accident, I'm so sorry. But I also recognize that we are from different backgrounds, and our spouses are from different backgrounds. So if you have a spouse that still has that holds the traditional beliefs, then there is more, like, your balance will be different in that instance, because there will be more conversation that will go into how can I make my career, my goals and everything work while still making sure that my marriage or my relationship or my parenting or my motherhood is not affected, right? And because there's somebody else who's a stakeholder in your life, and that's your spouse, if they hold such high cultural views, then I can imagine that it would be a little bit of a different context and a different conversation. So, and that's why, again, no two marriages are similar, no two people have the same journey. Cultural expectations, I think we're now at a stage where we should begin to question some of those beliefs. And again, I know that I'm probably disrupting certain things here. I know that as women, we're considered to be the home builder, the nurturer. We can still be all of those, but then Anita said, please disrupt us. But we can still be all of those and then still be creative about our family dynamics. Like the most beautiful thing about marriage and life is that you can create your own rules. Gosh, that is so beautiful. You can create your own rules. Who says that a man that's a better cook cannot keep cooking? But then it's a conversation that you have as to how that works for you. You know, because it's now you, it's now you, it's now both of you. Who cares? Now, when the grandparents are around, there may be some adjustments here and there because you just don't want a little bit of extra talk and you don't have energy for that. And so when you've got a guest that's around in your house, yeah, there could be some adjustments while you laugh about the adjustments behind closed doors. But that's the thing. Communication is very important. Prayer is important. If you're with a man who wants to have fresh soup every day, I feel you, sis. I am sorry. But I pray that God will give you the ability to outsource that. If you now insist that you must cook the food, we'll have to have that side conversation, because if he wants fresh food every day, I don't know. That one will take that matter to the mountain. So even superstore, they don't have fresh, they have frozen vegetables. They have frozen things. So, but you can't change that. So again, talking about balance, I think you have to create your own balance and own it depending on the season of your life. And when there's another stakeholder involved, your family, your spouse, your children, then you have to determine what works for you in that season of your life.
Wow, this is good. I hope the single people are also taking notes, people like myself, so that you have enough to go into your marriage and your homes with, because these are remarkable insights. Very well said, truly, I agree that honestly, we need to disrupt some of the cultural beliefs or values that we've grown up with. Some of them, we don't even know reasons why they exist. We just know that that's what they said and we must go that way, right? And one of the things that Wura said that I think is very important to understand is that you have the authority, you have the right to create your own standards. You have the right to define what your home will stand by. You have the right to decide how to flex up or maybe spice up things a bit or make things work just so that it can fit your season, right? If not, we're going to burn out. And you see a lot of women burn out a lot just because we do not understand these things. We carry so much on our shoulders, right? And nobody is carrying us along, right? We're just carrying all of the world's problems. And oftentimes we do not even have the energy, right? Or the strength to actually fulfill our individual purposes in life. So I think that's very important to note. So thank you. I'll just be moving on to Mrs. O right now. We're short of time. So if you can quickly, Mr. O, just share your experience with us on what your thoughts are on the subject, that would be so helpful. I'm eager to hear like all of the gems you'll be dropping again.
Thank you, Kezia. And I totally agree with you, Wura. There's nothing like balance. I think it's about you setting priorities for yourself, setting priorities for your family, setting priorities for your career. I believe in that 4 box of you dividing it, 1 box, dividing it into 4 of what is important and urgent, what is urgent, not important, what is not urgent, but is important, what is not urgent, and what is not important. There's also nothing like cultural barriers. And my mom will always say that the reason why women are seen to be the ones that cook, the ones that take care of the house, is because in the olden days, the men are the ones that go out to the farm. They are the ones doing all the work, and that's why the women are the ones doing it. Communication goes a long way. Communicate with your children, let them know what's going on. Communicate with your spouses, let them know what's going on. Tell them your goals, share your goals with them. My kids will tell you, Mommy is busy right now, you can't disturb her. My kids will tell you, between this time to this time, Mommy does not have your time. Mommy needs to read. Mommy needs to do things. Communication goes a long way. And take good care of yourself. I love to take care of myself. Go for a spa. Go and do your manicure and your pedicure. Like, there are times for that. There are times to travel. There are times I'm a party person. Wura knows that. I love to party a lot. So there are times that I take that time off for that as well. That's you trying to make priorities for yourself. You have your plans in place, making sure that You focus on your career when it's time to focus on your career. I work odd hours. I do crazy things myself as well. There are times when someone told me yesterday, I don't take my office laptop home. Well, sorry, I do, because there are times I tell myself it is time to work, dial. I bring my laptop home. I wake up in the middle of the night and I work. I like it. I have sleep issues, but I still sleep. So as long as I tell myself, as long as I'm getting that 6 hours sleep, then I'm fine. I can get the 6 hours sleep by sleeping 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the middle of the night. I'm fine. As long as I have that 6 hours in a day, I'm totally fine. As long as my brain can think, as long as I can sit down and focus on something, then I'm fine. Mental health, we need to think about our mental health. And that is why if you're talking about balancing, where is it written that you have to be the one to cook? Yes, I love to cook, but I always tell my husband, you want everyday food? Uncle, there's something called kitchen. You go there and cook yourself, nee. But we're in Canada. Lights doesn't go off. You can make those soups. You can make those cooking. Laura's Delight is there. Sorry, I'm advertising for her. She's my personal person. It's just a phone call through. Laura.
That is allowed. Advertisements is allowed. We're lifting
Exactly.
each other up
It's
here.
just a phone call. Laura, it's Jollof Rice Week. Thank you. God bless you. When can I come? My husband knows I do that a lot. And there are times when I tell myself, okay, Dio feels like cooking. She wants to cook and she does it. And there are times I tell myself, next 1 month, I'm sorry, I'm not entering that kitchen. Get whatever you want to eat from the freezer, microwave it, and you're good. So totally, there's nothing like balancing, because if you're trying to balance, you want yourself at land in general or in Pasqua. If you're trying to balance, you're going to, at the end of the day, hurt yourself. You don't want to hurt yourself and then you're rubbing your husband's back or you're rubbing your kid's head. At the end of the day, if you lose your life, the kids will not forgive you because you're making them motherless at that time. You want to be there for them, yes. So you need to set your priorities right, basically. I won't say too much about that because I know Wura dwelt so much on it, but majorly balancing your life is putting priorities, putting your family first in everything. And I always say to myself as well, the lifespan of work is way longer than your own lifespan. Yorubas will say, "Emi ise, ogunju emi eyan lo." If you die today, work will continue. And I always use one of my previous bosses as an example. When the chair of Public Service Commission, Government of Saskatchewan, passed away a few years ago, the day she passed away, the day it was announced, they also announced her successor that day. That hit me badly that day. And I kept telling myself, you can do it, you can do it. Yes, if you pass away today, there's already someone there to do your work. Take care of yourself. You come first before any other thing. It is you. You come first, because if they're going to talk about your career, you are also going to be talked about, right? So if you're not taking care of yourself, then I don't know what you're doing. In my house, even despite the fact that I love to cook, I love to do whatever, Sundays are my days. I don't cook on Sundays. In fact, you will not find me in the kitchen on Sundays. Sundays are the days we come back from church and my son asks me, "Mommy, what do you want?" Like, he literally makes whatever I want for me. I rest my back, I put my legs together, and I watch a good movie. They are my days. So I think about myself first. It's about me. A lot of us work, we all have those white-collar jobs, but we're not using those benefits. What are those benefits for? Go for a massage, please. Pamper yourself. Go for facials. Go for your manicure. Go for your pedicure. Take care of yourself. Look good. Comes money at the end of the day. If you pass away today, there's someone waiting to spend that money. There's someone waiting to spend that money. There's a very personal story I don't share, but I will share it because we have ladies on the call. When my first husband passed in 2012, and his family decided his money is for them, that was when I realized that you take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Everything in his bank account was withdrawn even before I went back to Nigeria. He died in Nigeria. before I went back to Nigeria, everything in his bank accounts was already withdrawn. So there was nothing left for me. There was nothing left for my son. And then I was like, why? What happened? But I kept telling myself, Dio, that money is not yours. They decided to do whatever they wanted with it because they believe it's their son's money. Make your own money and take care of yourself. Some people love to keep money in the bank. Please now. You see that lovely wig that you're eyeing? Buy it. Buy it. You see that gold is an investment. Take care of yourself. Yes, you're still going to have your investments. You're still going to have your savings. But as much as you're working, you also want to look good. You also want to take it. When you talk about balancing, that's balancing for me. Taking care of myself is balancing. Putting myself first is balancing. Putting myself first above every other person. If I'm not well, how can I cook for my husband? How can I take care of my family? If I'm not well, how can I take care of my children? If I'm not well, how will my work go on? My work will not go on if I'm not well. If I'm sick today, there's someone waiting in the office to do my work. I see some of my colleagues online already. There's someone waiting to do my work if I'm sick today. If I'm on a short-term disability, someone will do that job. And God bless you if that person does it better than you do. Then one way or the other, they're already praying that you leave. So why don't you take care of yourself to do that job well? Why don't you take care of yourself to take care of your children? Take care of yourself to take care of your husband. Husband too will take care of himself. Nobody is asking a woman to take care of, nobody is asking a man to take care of a woman. They keep asking the woman to take care of the man. Why? Why is that happening? And I think at the end of the day, like Wura said, no marriage is the same. It's all about communication. Communication. Delegate duties. Mothers, most times, because of the strength that God has given unto us, we believe that our kids can do it. I remember doing something I've not done in 11 years last year. Since I had my son, I'd never traveled without them. I'd never traveled without my spouse. I'd never traveled without my family. But last year, I decided that you're going to go for your May trip. And I left this house for 10 days, only 10 days. I didn't cook. I didn't put any food in the freezer. Don't get me wrong. No, I did not. And that was I did that purposely. But guess what? They were fine. It was me worrying. I remember my first night in Toronto that month. I woke up in the middle of the night and I was hearing mommy. And then I sat in my hotel room and I said, Dio, Elizabeth is not here. Elijah is not here. There's no one calling mommy. Can you go back to bed? It was me worrying. Let's stop worrying. Whether we like it or not, life will go on. No matter the struggle, no matter the issue, this one too shall pass. And I always realize in life that the things I worry about, they all come at ease at the end of the day. So I tell myself, so why were you worrying, Dio? Why? For what? And I think with that, putting yourself first, things will just move forward. There are times when you will shake things a bit, but it is all about you. I think that's basically what I have to say.
Wow, thank you so very much. Thank you so much for Stadiya. That was really good. I was gonna lead me to my next question, but I think I wouldn't ask that again because you already talked about how we can manage stress as women. I think it's very important. I remember reading one article that life is like a bicycle, right? To find balance, you have to keep moving, right? So it's not cast in stone. You don't have balance all figured out. All you need to do is keep moving. And I think as women, we need to find time of solitude and self-reflections within ourselves, like make time for self-reflection and self-solitude so that we can see how much we're giving away to other people and how much we have actually really given to ourselves. So I think that's really important. So if anybody's here listening today, save up some money for a you time this year, save up some money to take care of yourself, pamper yourself, use your work benefits, make sure that while you're giving so much of yourself to others, you're also giving so much to yourself in the process. I think that's really important. And I'm just going to move on. I really apologize. I thought we were ending by one, but I got corrected that it's not, we are extended till, I think one will stop at 1:45-ish. So it just leads me to my next question, right? This one is very, maybe intense would be the word, because we're talking about how we can navigate career advancement as women. And Wura mentioned how where she works is not only a male-dominated industry, but also a white-dominated space. So my next question will be to Wura and Mrs. O. So how do we build some strategies for confidence and resilience in the face of discrimination and also in the face of sexism? Now, we're not fighting one thing, we're fighting in three places. We're fighting our race, we're fighting what we look like, our competence, and we're also fighting our gender. Like, we're trying to always prove ourselves. So how do we build confidence, right? Like Wura said, I remember when she was talking about how when you go to, you're trying to speak and you're asking you, oh, excuse me, I can't hear. And I remember ranting to her one day that, why can't they hear me? Like, I'm speaking so well. I've never heard anybody say, yeah, I don't hear you before. And then she just really spoke to me about how you need to build some confidence to actually address some of these issues. You can't address these issues in timidity or in fear, right? So what are your tips or what strategies do you have for many of us right here who are thinking of how to build this confidence in the workplace? What would your advice be? I'll start with you, Wura, and then we can just pass it over. And then Sedaya can just come in immediately once you're done speaking.
Okay, thank you, Kezia. When it comes to navigating the workplace and your career and all of that, number one, you have to be mindful that there is politics in every workplace. And so you have to be emotionally intelligent when you get to your workplace and understand people, study people. You know, if it's possible for you to speak less and listen more, study people and understand how the workplace works, how your particular workplace works, and then know that you have to put in the work. Competence is subjective and objective. When your work is good, it cannot be denied. Now, they can try to push it aside, or they can try to give other people the credit inadvertently. But you need to know that there's also the subjective piece. And that subjective piece is, you have to ask yourself, am I actually putting in my best to this work? And if your answer is no, then that's easy, because you know that you're not giving it your best, and you already know what your best is. Again, talking about standard, you already know how thoughtful you can be. You know when you've put together a shoddy package, or you've written something in a rush, and you know when you've actually been more thoughtful about it. So as persons of color in the workplace, as women, it's like we have to jump additional hurdles to be recognized. We have to jump additional hurdles to be competent and to succeed in the workplace. And so putting in the work, there was a time in my career, and it's interesting, my bedtime read was a book about selling a business in Canada. Like, it's a legal book. And so at night, I'll just like read 2 pages or 3 pages. I still have the book by my bedside today, but I don't read it every day as much anymore. But I realized I had to like put in the extra work here. So putting in the extra work and preparing for every meeting, being able to speak from a place of confidence, doing all of those good stuff. Number one, knowing the politics that works in your office, and being emotionally intelligent to identify the conflict in the workplace, the people that have the issues, the people that you need to be careful about. Thank you so much, Mrs. O, for sharing that story of how you were confiding in a co-worker. You made a co-worker your friend, and then she used that against you. You know, understanding different people, but that would also take reading the room and knowing the people that you work with. Success in the workplace is not based on hard work alone. So I've checked the hard work box. But what about the other boxes? Having an ally, having a sponsor, especially in my own workplace. I walked up to mentors that I wanted to have, and I made demands from them. If you reach out to people and you make it about a situation and not about you, I want to be competent in this area. I would like to do this kind of work more for all of these reasons. And I think this is how the organization can benefit at large. They may say no, they may be dismissive, but if you keep at it while being professional as well, I made partner at my firm before I was eligible based on the policy. But I realized at some point last year that I needed to have mentors and allies in the workplace. And so I reached out to my office managing partner at the time and I said, I'd like to have a female mentor. I want her to be a partner. I want her to be a mom and I want her to be a person of color. Can you do that for me? And he was like, yeah, sure, we can do that for you. And then they found me somebody in Vancouver. The benefit of, being in a national workplace. For you, you may not have that privilege, but it may mean reaching out to Kezia right after this conversation so that she can tell you how to reach out to people on LinkedIn so that you can find your own people, right? So they connected me with this person and I realized that there are so many things, so many opportunities, and I wasn't even scratching the surface. It was also the first time I realized that there was a particular UK trained lawyer that had joined an organization. I mean, the partner was sharing with me that I joined the organization and the firm that she joined gave her credit for her prior years of experience. And I had been working for over 4 years and it had never occurred to me that I could use that as a leverage. And so the partnership policy says you must have practiced for 6 or 7 years or whatever it is before you're even eligible. So I got that information. I had some connection in Toronto. The person is an HR person, particularly in the legal industry. I started chatting with him. What is the market? What do you see? What's the trend? And he told me that the trend in Toronto was that at the time, and I think it's uprising as well, it's on the upscale, the trend was that internationally trained lawyers were coming into the country and they're very competent people. They're people that were partners in the firm. They're people that were like senior legal advisors to banks, to institutions, and they're able to now get into the market to say, hey, even if I'm starting as an articling student, the moment I get called to the bar, can we have a conversation about my compensation? Because I know what I'm doing. You can't put me at the same level as somebody that's graduated here. And you know that things happen from the east to the west. And so I got the benefit of knowing that there were Toronto firms that were doing that. And so I armed myself with information. And one day, one of my bosses just said, I can't wait for you to be partner in a couple of years. Shepa, you cannot wait. I cannot wait. You're competent. You're checking all the boxes. And I'm like, okay, actually, that can happen sooner rather than later. And I went ahead to tell him the trend in the trend in the East. I told him about the experience I heard about other firms were beginning to give credit for years of experience. I had been at the firm for 5 years. I had never taken advantage of that. It had never occurred to me. And so based on the policy, I wasn't eligible based on the based on the Canadian year of call. But I went back to that policy and I'm like, this policy says you must have been called to the bar for 6 or 7 or 8 years. I can't remember. It does not say what bar. It does not say whether it's Canadian, American, Ugandan, Nigerian. It just says you must have been called to the bar. I'm like, great. So I went back and then I had the conversation. But then the hard work piece had been checked because I had heard that my work was good. So they just got lawyered. Exactly, they did. So having sponsors and allies, finding a person within your industry, and trust me, it's not just something in the legal profession. You could be a nurse. If your goal at some point is to be the chief nurse officer of the province, I don't know if there's a position like that, or if your goal is to be if you're in the HR field, if your goal is to be X in that field, there are people that have been there, or there are other people that you can talk to. And I like to read books. So there was a book I read, and I can't remember the author. I'll look for it and maybe put it in the chat box before the end. But basically, she was sharing that your hard work is not enough. And so I also read that book at a good time, and it made me realize that, see, your career is yours. It is not the organization's, and nobody will think for you. You can have the best boss in the world. You can have the most incredible HR person like Mrs. O, who wants everybody to develop all the right trainings, but your career is yours. And if you do not make demands, and one thing I've learned as well is you have to help other people help you. What do you want? And then articulate that. If you do not, so this person was saying, I can't wait for you to be a partner. Great. But I could have taken another 3 years if I had not spoken out for myself. So you need to know when you should speak out for yourself. You need to advocate for yourself. advocacy, self-advocacy. We're very humble people. I see that there's so many Nigerians, and probably everybody here is Nigerian. So I'm going to say this. Nigerians, we are too humble for our own good. We do not want to share our success stories. We think that it makes us bad people, it makes us proud people, it makes us pompous people, but we are shortchanging ourselves without even knowing it. A white man will not even, he'll walk into the HR's office and say, or into the boss's office and say, I think I deserve a raise. You, a Black person, you will overthink it. You say, I don't want them to think I'm greedy. I don't want them, you know what, I should stop here because I think this is something that Mrs. O could speak to a lot more. So I'm going to stop here. But yeah, I can't even remember what the question is. All I know is that you have to advocate for yourself. You check the ad work box and then advocate for yourself and find sponsors or allies. Thank you. Over to you, Mrs. O.
That's so important. I just wanted to chip in before Mrs. Dayo speaks. I think like it's so important. And I remember speaking to someone yesterday that even men, right, who are men of color, right, have so much audacity, right? As women, we always overthink these things. And I tell people that if we had just an ounce of the audacity that men had, like women will be taking so much territories. Because imagine a man that is also white that you can see, especially in classes, if you're a student, you will see like somebody will speak, raise up a mic and speak, and then you know deep down this person is not making sense. But then this person is saying it with so much confidence, so much courage. But then you that you even have something that is worth talking about, you don't want to say because you're just worried that, oh, they're going to think that my accent, my this, my that. But then we're also creating barriers for our own self to even function, right? Not putting ourselves there so that people also recognize the values and the skills that we bring on board. So I think that's also very important. Nobody can negotiate your terms for you, right? You have to stand and say, you know what, I just want to quickly share a story. I'm sorry. I remember when I resumed at my current job, I didn't want to take the job on Allies. And I remember speaking to Wura, and I used to tell her that her love for me sometimes is really tough, right? Because if she's trying to prove a point to me, she'll come at me so like, and I remember that I was just like, and then she cut and she was like, you know what, I'm going to call you back. And I was just like, she was like, call me back. Because I was like, I'm going to do something. And she's like, it's like, I'm never calling her back. Like, if you cannot talk to me gently so that I'll understand, I'm not calling her back. And so I was just like, but then when she spoke to me, I went back to think about it, right? And then I called and I remember speaking to the organizer, but I was so confused that maybe if I tell them that this is what I want, maybe they will take the job back from me, right? Me, I know where I'm coming from. I'm just grateful that they are giving me this. But then honestly, this conversation didn't even take up to 2 minutes when I spoke to the HR person. He literally just said, oh, is that what you want? Yeah, we can get it done for you. I'll send you the updated contract and you just need to sign it. But imagine if I did not have an ally or somebody to speak to me to tell me this is what you should do, right? I would have lost an opportunity. And imagine if I was too shy to negotiate my terms and say, this is what I want, this is what I can do, and I believe that I should get this for that, right? I would have lost all round. So I think these are very important points, very, very important points to note that artwork can only take you so far, right? You need to learn to advocate yourself and define what your terms are. So I'll just pass the mic over to Mrs.
I'll add context for 1 minute, and it would only be 1 minute, I promise. So Kezia called me because I need to clarify the story before people start thinking I'm a mean person. Kezia called me and she said, Antura, I'm not taking that job. I can't believe this. They can go away with their job. I am not even going to take it. I said, calm down, woman, calm down. And so we had a conversation. And then after that conversation, I said, call me back. I had to step in or something, and she never called me back. So, and then we connected later, and she was like, you pressed P. Why did you take it personally? I said, because I just thought that you were not seeing the big picture. You were not, considering a couple of various things. So yeah, my 1 minute is almost up, but fine. You should also have people within your circle that are not scared to tell you the truth or to talk to you. And that can be in a professional capacity, that can be a friend, that can be your spouse, that can be a family member. But as women, we are wired to connect with other people and to share experiences and learn from the experiences. Thank you. My 1 minute is up.
Thank you. So Mrs.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Kezia. I think when you read out the question, I had 6 things that I wrote out here. And the first thing Everything is actually what Wura said. I think I just put it in, I have subtitles for them. The first one is integration. You're in Canada. Can you please integrate? Integrate into the system. Understand the system. Understand your workplace. Understand your bosses. Understand your colleagues. Understand the team you're working with. You need to understand them. Understand the people. Understand the way they work. You can't say because this is the way you've been doing things, that's the way you want to do it. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to integrate into the system. We also need to understand that there's something called unconscious bias. It's not their fault. They were not born having Blacks around them. We have come, like my husband would say, we are the ones that did I beg to apply. So we actually came to meet them here. And because we have come to meet them here, and we also understand that there's something called discrimination, and there's an unconscious bias as well, try to know what to do at the right time and when to do things. It ties back to integration. Now, because of my profession, I'll use an example. You're putting through your resume, and in everything, you're writing the name of the farm, and you have Nigeria, 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 unconsciously. And I've seen hiring managers do this. Unconsciously, they will put your resume to the side. And the next thing you will hear is, this person does not have Canadian experience. You actually made them do that. Schneider Electric. Maybe there's Schneider Electric in Canada. There's Schneider Electric in UK. There's Schneider Electric in Nigeria. I worked at Schneider Electric. Get me into that interview first and I'll prove my worth. When I get into that interview, I will let them know that it was Schneider Electric Nigeria. But at least get me in. I've had 2 resumes before. One was Adedayo Owolabi. The other one, I decided to put my English name. I got an interview for the one with my English name. Why? I decided not to go for that interview because I already understand the kind of organization that organization was. It was me doing that by choice because I wanted to understand what was going on. I had applied a couple of times with my name. That is unconsciously. They do some things, and when I say they, I mean the whites. There are some things that are done. It's not because they have that mind to discriminate, no, but it's unconscious. And then we ourselves, I see a lot of us on the call are Nigerians, we're Black, and that's why I'm saying this. When we have that thing, there's one thing in our mind that we need to get out. And that's the thing that we tell ourselves, they will discriminate against me because I'm Black. Why do we have that thinking all the time? And because we have that thinking, to move forward in our career will be very hard. It will be very hard. Because I'm Black, I cannot get here. Who said? Who says you can't get there? Just yesterday, government of Saskatchewan announced in my office, our assistant chair is Black. She is Black. The assistant chair of the Public Service Commission is Black. She's going to be assuming a position 1st of April. Who says you can't get there? And then like Wura said, work hard. Everybody is working hard. You need to work harder. And I tell my kids, if a white boy is reading 3 hours a day, you need to read 6 hours a day. You need to do way more. It's not for anything, just for you to be seen. For the works of your hand to speak for you, you need to do way more. Way more. And then you need to speak up. Like, speak up. We're having a meeting. And like Kezia said, you definitely know that what this white boy is saying has no meaning. It makes no sense. And those great ideas are coming to your mind. And you're thinking, I'm Black. Maybe I will talk, they won't understand. Who says they can't hear you? Immediately you start making sense, they can hear. Immediately the idea you're bringing in is making sense to their ears. My dear, they can hear you well and loud. It's the same English you are speaking that they are speaking. It's when you're not making sense, you are hearing, Can you say that again? Pardon? Can you repeat that again? But when you start making sense to them, they can hear you. Read, research. Read way more, research way more. Create that time for yourself to research about your career. Create that time for yourself to read about your career. Read about people that are in that place where you want to get to. Know the steps that they have followed. You certainly might not follow the same step, but certainly know what steps they have followed. Like I always tell people during career advisory, they've advised you that you're coming in for an interview, and they've given you the names of those that are going to interview you. And then you just want to walk into that interview. Why? Go on LinkedIn and search those individuals. Know their interests, know their strengths, know their weaknesses. Turn that interview into a chat. So be the one to interview them, not them interviewing you. No, you are not being proud. Sorry, you're not being proud. You're only bringing out your worth. You're only showing them who you are and what you can bring on the table. Network. I don't even know how many friends I have. In fact, I always say I don't have friends. On my LinkedIn page, sorry, that's another story on its own. I connect with people of like minds. You think you're the one mentoring someone, you will learn from that person too. There's no time in life that we stop learning. When you stop learning, then it means you're dead. When you're talking to someone, you're learning. Yes, Anita might have invited me, but I've learned a lot from Wura today. I've learned some things that Casey has said today. When we stop learning, then we're dead. Network with people, speak up, talk to people, chat with people, bring up a topic. I remember those days when I was hopping on the bus and you're sitting beside a white person. They definitely will speak with you. Is either they are talking about Saskatchewan riders or they are talking about the weather. They will definitely bring up a topic. You too bring up a topic. There's always a topic to bring up. Bring up that topic of saying, oh, you know where I come from, we don't even have winter. With that, they start talking. And then you are adding one thing or the other to learn more from them. You certainly can build a career in this town. You can build a career in this country. You can build a career in Regina. I don't know why people are running away from Regina. Someone once told me, there's no career. You cannot build a career in Regina. I don't know what you're talking about. I've been in Regina since 2009. Yes, I left a while and I came back to the same Regina and I've built my career and I'm still building it. And pray. Pray. Talk to God. I don't know your relationship with your God. I don't know what God you serve, but speak to him. He has ears. He can hear you. There's a time for everything. There's a time to learn. There's a time to grow. And there's a time for you to be that mentor as well. Create that opportunity to learn. Create that opportunity to network with people. Create that opportunity to integrate into the system. And sincerely, you'll reach your goal. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if anybody has gotten something from today's session, but then you can just respond with a reaction that best describes your mood right now. So just quickly, everyone, just use one of your reaction buttons, just respond to how you're feeling. I think mine is a combination of fire, love, round of applauses. Like, I'm just blown away and I've had so much. I feel like we should create a book from this session so that we can give to people who missed that, because this was really, really good. Thank you so much, Mrs. Orr. I have a question here, which I'm going to have to ask you because obviously I have never parented before, so I don't know how to answer it. So I think the both of you will be best people to answer. But then I'm just going to use this opportunity to ask our audience, if you have questions, please put it in the Q&A session or in the chat, and I'll be sure to bring them up before our panelists, just before we round up. I have two questions, so I think I'm going to split it up so that the both of you can prepare for it in a way. So the first question, Mrs. Orr, I'll direct this question to you, and the second question, I'll direct it to Wura. The first question, Mrs. Orr, is how do you manage a career and having a medically challenged child whose care and numerous appointments takes up so much time. While you're preparing to answer that, I'll just share Wara's question with her as well. Wara, the question is, how do you do more at work? Practical ways. So this person wants actual practical responses to how to do more at work. Mrs. O, if we could just in 1 minute-ish respond to the first question, we'll be very grateful. Thank you.
I don't have a medically challenged child, but I'll speak to what I know. You have a career, you have some benefits, definitely, that comes with your package at work. Try as much as possible to use them. Some of those benefits, you definitely can have caregivers that can help you. You definitely have medical practitioners that can help you. I understand that it's not very easy, you focusing on work and then having a medically challenged child that you need to take care of. But sincerely, I believe in the power of prayer. That is nothing God cannot do, nothing under the sun that God cannot do. I know I've spoken a lot about God today. That's just the kind of person I am, just because I believe I am a nobody without God. So you putting that child in prayer, you making sure that you're using all the benefits that you have around you, asking questions. I know I used to have a manager that had a child with autism. She had a caregiver for that child that the organization was paying for. She had benefits that, you know, she was giving, that was given to that child because that child was one of our dependents, definitely. So those benefits were there for the child as well. And she was able to thrive in her career. And there's something I'll also say that people don't know. Whether you're a person experiencing disability or you have a child experiencing disability, you have a great advantage in this land. A great advantage, especially in the corporate world, especially if you are the one experiencing that disability. You self-declaring alone that you have a disability gives you that opportunity at work. And I'll speak for where I work at the government of Saskatchewan. I see Kofo is giving me thumbs up there because we work together. If you self-declare that you're a person experiencing disability, it's possible that that position was either preferenced to a person experiencing disability or it was designated to a person experiencing disability, and you will have upper edge over every other person. If it's your child that is experiencing disability, you taking that child to school and letting the teachers, letting everyone around them know that this child is experiencing disability, there will be a preferential treatment for that child. There definitely will be a special care for that child. And you will have that peace of mind to thrive in your career, certainly. I hope my 1 minute is not over.
It is, Mrs. O. It is for sure.
Sorry, Kezia.
Yes, please.
Please, if I quickly jump in and add to that question.
Sure.
So thank you so much. Honestly, I'm learning a lot. So I just want to even say that in addition to what Mrs. O have said, like, do a deep research on every benefit that your work allows you to have that you can leverage, and then deploy those resources. Some of it might also be that delegation to a care person that she had talked about, right? But in addition, you know, when we talk about the bringing your excellence of work into play, these are moments and times that it starts to even make sense, because when there are needs like this, you know, and you've had a precedent of being somebody who consistently produces excellent work, then it's easier to go and then make demands to say, here are the demands and here's what I need. You know, I don't have medically challenged child, all right, but for instance, you know, I have in my PhD classes, I take classes 3 hours every week, right? And because of that class, I went to my manager and I said, so here's where it is. I'm starting a PhD, and for now, I'm not planning to stop my 8 to 5. This has to go on side by side. I promise you, it won't take away from my ability to produce work, but I also need this. So what conversation can we have around accommodations, right? That would help me thrive both in my academics and my work. And we had that conversation. And what that meant was that I had to lose some vacation hours towards those classes, and that's fine. I'm fine with that. I just want to know that there is a way to do both and if it's available, but how would I have that opportunity if I never go and ask the question? I might just be there thinking my options are PhD or work, whereas I can have them both. And all it takes is having the courage to even go have a conversation. But then to even have that conversation, part of what adds to that confidence is a precedent of quality and good work, right? And knowing that I'm not trying to come and just throw fluff and look for easy way out, but that I can still continue to prove myself and produce the work. So use the benefits you have, leverage your precedents, your history of work, and it better be good, right? And it can be, to this specific question, is medically challenged child. For somebody else, it can be anything else, right? So the principle, the concept will remain the same, whatever it is, and then be willing to go have that conversation. You might need to be vulnerable, but that's okay. But have the conversation and then make months that you need and show them the workaround. Don't just go and say, oh, I have this problem. Go with some solutions that you can see that is a win-win for both you and the organization, and say, here are some solutions I want to prefer that I think would work. Can we try these options, and how can you support it? So I just want to quickly add that.
Thank you so much, Stanita. I think what I can hear from that conversation is excellence. Let excellence speak for you, because oftentimes, even when you do not want to speak, when you have advocates, right, they speak for you and then they bring up your case, but you have to have a track record of excellence. So we need to be excellent at whatever we do, no matter how small. And as Christians, the Bible says, "Set man diligent in his ways will stand before him." So how are we diligent with the work that we find ourselves doing, no matter how small it is? So thank you so much. I think we'll move on to you right now. Just quickly, if you can respond to this question, how do you do more at work in practical ways? Thank you.
Thanks, Kezia. I'll start by saying that do not compromise on quality. So I'll tie that back to Kezia's comment, Anita's comment, Mrs. O's comment. Make sure that you are delivering on the hard work piece, on the competence, the excellent piece. Ask questions. It's like you never stop learning, right? So you can't know it all. Otherwise, and that's why machines will never fully replace humans, because humans, we bring in the emotional piece when we do our work, and we bring in a lot more. So make sure you do not compromise on quality work. Ask questions if you need to clarify what you need to do. So in doing more at work, by doing a better work, by producing more excellent work, you're doing more already. So it's not a function of quantity here, but it is quality primarily. Oh yeah, I have to share that book. I will. Thank you so much. So that's the most important thing here. But also make sure that on the quantity part, make sure that you're also checking the box, because that's the way you create the balance. I like how Mrs. O said that she tells a boy that if a white boy is studying for 3 hours, you study for 6 hours. That's a really good thing. And I'm going to adopt that as well, because you're also setting him up for what to expect in the workplace in the future, and he'll be better off for that overall. So in terms of practical ways, do better. Don't compromise on quality, but also make sure that on the quantity side, you're also doing a little bit more. Ask questions. Go and actually ask for the kind of work that you would like. Not everybody is mean, and not everybody is out to get you. I think that assumption of I am Black and people don't like me, I think that's a self-limiting belief. And I think that's also a self-fulfilling prophecy, because when you have that at the back of your mind, then you cannot confidently have conversations that will help you to become a better person overall. So asking those questions and then seeking more work. For me as well, I wanted to be ahead. And I knew that one of the ways to do that was to improve on my skill set. So I reached out to my office managing partner and reached out to other people across the country to say I wanted to do this kind of work. I wanted to do cross-border work. So I wanted to do cross-border M&A work and all of that, which in Saskatchewan, I will not get. That meant working Toronto hours and working Saskatchewan hours at the same time. That meant joining calls at 5 a.m. because there's a 7 a.m. call and there's a closing at 8 a.m. So I was willing to do that. So you need to find out what exists within your organization that you can leverage and be willing to do that. be willing to do more. Do your research and be willing to actually put in the work. Like, honestly, there's no shortcut to success. That is like a gem that we've always heard since whenever. Networking is very critical, and finding a sponsor and an ally. You need to find that person that you know that they speak positively about you, or they're more open-minded, and then leverage that relationship and try to build that relationship. Christmas is a great time to send a card and say, thank you for your work and your mentorship this year. Build so into the relationship. You don't have to rip right away, right? It doesn't even have to be Christmas. If you hear that their dog passed away, send a note, and then know when to use your vulnerability to your advantage. Know when to use your story to your advantage. That has been one of the things that I have used, and I'm grateful. You need to know how to share, where to stop, in a way that helps you, in a way that empowers you. If you are a mom of 2 and nobody at your workplace knows, they're not going to extend grace to you in a certain kind of way. The moment they know that, and they know that you're still crushing it in the workplace, they're likely going to respect you more. Or if you're a single mom, you don't have to say too much. Know when to share, what to share, and where to stop. And in a way that you're doing it, make sure you're feeling empowered as well. Make sure that you're not doing it with an expectation per se, but it's just, being emotionally intelligent about sharing, because I know sharing is a very touchy subject, but that's also how you form very personal relationships and connections. Yeah, not a victim mindset. Thank you. I don't know, Kezia, if you want me to answer this part.
I think that's.
I thought that was a question. It's not a question. Never mind.
No.
It was just somebody saying, if you're struggling in your aspect of
Yeah.
your work, speak up and ask for help. Don't be quiet.
Yeah, thank you so much, Wora. So that was, I hope like the person who asked this question has gotten practical steps for real, because even for myself, I had nuggets that I'm going to go back to work on Monday conscious about. You can't, like somebody said, you can't pour for an empty cup. You can't, to whom much is given, much is expected. I remember this week, I was so tired, like cause school, work, and I was like, oh God, I don't feel like going to work today. And I just kept on saying to myself, Kezia, to whom much is given, much is expected. You have to stand up, you have to go out and just show up. And which leads me to my next point. We need to also show up. A practical way to do more at work is to show up. When you're talking about people of excellence and you are missing, nobody's going to remember you, right? Be there for events, right? If you're going to spare 15 minutes extra time during lunch, when everybody's at lunch talking about their interests, what they're interested in, speak up, talk about it. And I think one of the things I'm learning also at work is during lunchtime, I go to the lunchroom. And what I notice is that these people are actually very curious. They want to know about you, right? This is not a black thing. They really want to know about you. So what you have to bring into conversations, that when they're talking behind the scenes, they say, oh, Kezia does this person does that. You need to be known for something. Are you a good writer at work? Are you a good speaker at work? What is it that you are known for? You need to be visible for people to remember you. So I think that's one of the things, practical ways to do more work. You show up, right? Even when it's not convenient. If that's the career path you want to really tread on, right? You show up when it's convenient. When it's not convenient, it's going to pay later, but you need to actually show up and be present. So I don't know if we have any more questions, but I have a quick exercise for us. We've talked a lot today about relationship building. We've talked a lot about connecting with people. We've talked a lot about different things as to how we're building relationship. And I know at the beginning of this conversation, I said there's so many familiar faces and so many unfamiliar faces. What I really say is, if everyone can quickly put up their LinkedIn profiles in the chat, let's connect with everybody here. Just put up your LinkedIn profiles in the chat. This could be a way to reach out to more people, know people. Wora's LinkedIn, Mrs. O's LinkedIn page. Connect with people. Let them know who you are, right? Let them know what you do, right? That's the only way they're going to advocate for you or speak up for you when opportunities rise. So if you could just quickly do that, if you're trying to find your LinkedIn profile, just quickly put that in the chat, and then let's all just try to follow each other, connect with each other, reintroduce yourself as much as possible. But this is always a way to, after meetings like that, make sure you leave the room, knowing somebody, meeting a friend, meeting somebody of influence that, you know, adding this person to my profile or adding this person to my portfolio would be, or my network would be of great influence to me. So if you can quickly do that, I'll just really hand over to Sister Anita. But I really like to say a very big thank you to Wora and Mrs. O for being an amazing, amazing, amazing panelist. Thank you for giving us so much. These days, people withhold so much information. They just keep it in, me, myself, and I. But thank you so much for pouring out so deeply, so passionately, and notwithstanding any of your, even your personal experiences, and sharing so freely. I'm sure so many of us, including myself, we're leaving here today with so many nuggets to improve in our workplace, to do our work with excellence, and to be better women in what we do. So please just feel free to share your LinkedIn profiles, and I'll hand it over right now to Sister Anita. Thank you all so very much. I had so much fun doing this.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Kezia. I really appreciate the session, the conversation today. This has been amazing, amazing. And Tadaya, thank you so much. God bless you. I know you're a very busy person. As a matter of fact, both of you are. Urela, thank you so much. Thank you. You know, Kay, Kala Harris. Okay. Expect to win. Please, let me just give me a second. Let me copy that out first. Because it's definitely going on our book list of books to read. Expect to win. As we're even talking about making demands and all, there's another book that I have on my shelf. And I'd read it before, but it's a good book to really, you know, think about how to negotiate or something like that. I forget what the title is, but I'll thank you so much. I see people sharing their LinkedIn. Please connect. I promised us that I would share some drafts for, you know, just kind of like messages you can use to reach out, different variations of messages. These are things that I, you know, used to work with for my clients when I'm teaching them how to build networks and for their careers, and have cold conversations with people they don't know, and how to reach out to those people on LinkedIn. Even the ones for mentorship, like you want to reach out to someone to say, hey, mentor me. Sometimes it's not that we don't want to, we don't know what to say or how to frame it. You know, I'm happy to share that. It will be on the Ladies Arise WhatsApp group. So thank you so much. I just want to quickly share, and can we give our moderator a round of applause? I think she did great. So for those who don't know, one of the things about Ladies Arise, and permit me to quickly just share my screen here. One of the things about Ladies Arise is that we seek to intentionally just throw people into things and say, why don't you do this? And the goal is to help us build our skill and build it in ways that we can leverage, build it in ways that we can say, yep, I have done this, and build the confidence that we need to help us succeed in that, in those different things. So Kezia, thank you so much for rising up to the challenge of this. And I think you did amazingly well. Do we all agree? Yes. I see all the good jobs and all the well dones coming in. Okay, so why is this not sharing for me? Okay. Okay, just give me a second, sorry. Okay, that's what all right, so we can all still hear me and we can see the screen at the same time, correct? So Ladies Arise, really the mission is to build and equip tomorrow's ladies today, all right? You have a vision, you have where you're going, and our goal is to help work with you to build you up. And the vision really is to help women, especially now than more than ever, live intentional, purposeful, and holistic lives through continuous learning, self-awareness and development, and community support. And that is what Ladies Arise is about. You know, for me personally, as I think about my journey and time and life in Canada, last week or 2 weeks ago, make it exactly 8 years since I've been in this country. And as I think about what that journey has been like, the way my life has changed, the way I had to learn through so many things, I realized that the struggle that, you know, I experienced is similar to what a lot of people are doing. You know, I like something Daya said, and I was shaking my head vigorously when she said that be the mentor. All right. At some point, you get to be the mentor. At some point, you get to be the one pulling other people up. At some point, you will be the person that they would say, she's the first female or Black this. And you have to open up that door for other people. And how we build ourselves to become those kinds of women is what Ladies Arise is about. And part of the ways we've been doing this is just one of those ways. We're reading books. So the plan is we read a book a month. We're doing coaching and mentoring sessions, seminars, trainings, boot camps. We try to do challenges, vlogs, blogs, and some of these are already in progress. Some are still up and coming, but we're sharing the vision so that we can have more people join us. Now, in the interim, we talked about the community, and we have a community on WhatsApp, and we'll share the link to the community. Funks or Tayo, please, if you don't mind, if you can just help me drop the link to the community. If you're not there, I challenge you to join us there, where we're growing together. In this month, we'll be doing some health challenges. People are doing breast examinations, helping themselves. And Didaya talked about taking care of yourself as part of that sense of balance, right? And in this month, part of the challenges they've been giving us is walk 5,000 steps every week. Go for a breast examination, go for a mammogram. Last week, we talked about what mammogram is and why it's important. We talked about cervical cancer and why we need to do some of these tests, all as part of ways of taking care of ourselves as women. Thank you, Funks. All right, so I just want to quickly, talk a little bit about what this is. I know our time is up already, but I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here. And I want to say thank you again to Auntie Dayo and Wura for being here and for joining us. And thank you everyone for joining us. All right, this is a good session. Usually we keep our sessions private, and then we only share that link through our email communications and on the WhatsApp group. This one is a little more public because we wanted more people to just have access and learn. And I know that's one of the key concepts that came out of it, and I think we can agree that when you see powerful women doing powerful things, it means that they're married to people who support their dreams and vision and goals. And at some point I said I feel like men should join this one, but I don't want them in the Zoom. So I just shared the YouTube with them instead and say, please join us and watch. And the reason is because, true story, I once had a man tell me that, he just said something to his wife in my presence and said, why can't you be more like Anita? And I was like, woof, okay, stop right there. First of all, you see public Anita, you don't know what private Anita looks like. That's number one. Number two, I think I know what you're trying to say here. And if I go by what you're saying, you're one of those kind of men that say, I will eat fresh soup every day. My husband does not ask me for fresh soup every day. So are you willing to give up your fresh soup so that you can have that? I don't like being compared like that. And I don't think I like anybody using me as the comparing stick to anybody else. That put me in a very awkward position. But it also gave me an opportunity to school that man, because if you give me that kind of opportunity, be ready to be schooled. And I schooled the man with no reservations to say, you want that? The people that are married to people like that, it means that they're not coming and saying, wake up in the morning, kiss my feet, rub my back, wash my feet, and then cook me a nice hot meal. Anyway, so yes. Yes, these are some of the things we do, and I look forward to what we're having next month. We'll announce that. However, I will skip to what we're going to be doing in June, which is an in-person session. So we're going to come together. Maybe we'll do that big breakfast. And that's something that we will do. So thank you once again, everybody. More information will go out through email and on the WhatsApp group. If you're not there, please join us. A round of applause to our guest again, and we are officially done. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. And thank you to those who joined us on YouTube. We see you. Thank you so much for joining us, and hope to see you in the group chats for next month.